I will now entertain a motion to approve the minutes of our regular session of the school board on July 10th, 2019. Moved by Mr. Nugent, seconded by Mr. Moise. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. We'll now move to second readings. We have one second reading by Mr. Moise. Mr. Moise, you have the floor.
Move that the administration provide this board with the following information and recommendation on the timeline established. We ready?
Yep, go for it.
Move that the administration provide this board with the following information and recommendations on the timeline established. By the December regular board meeting, the administration will report to the board on the following: the student capacity of each school, the current student membership of each school, the occupancy as a percentage of capacity for each school, a listing of land owned by the board that does not occupy a school, a listing of elementary and K-8 school sites without playgrounds for recess, a recommendation on whether the district should expand opportunities for career and technical education, CTE, at current sites or provide a standalone CTE high school as called for in the facilities master plan. By the March 2020 regular board meeting, the administration will report to the board, a 2020 infrastructure efficiency plan informed by the following considerations: school consolidations to optimize occupancy and reduce operational costs, expansion of the PK-8 model, increase early childhood education ECE seats where demand exceeds space, expanded opportunities for the aforementioned career and technical education offerings, accommodates school choice for parents and encourages healthy competition for students, ensures greater efficiency in transportation costs, eliminating light loads and dead mileage as much as possible, addresses the increasing demand for seats in our academies, and finally addresses any pervasive and urgent issues at any of our campuses.
That is the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Beausarge. Okay, do we have comment?
Yeah.
Public comment?
Kessler Kamesh Jones.
Good evening. Kessler Kamesh Jones, Jefferson Federation of Teachers. I'd like to just start by informing the board that families and educators have endured many changes in this past year. They have endured a new curriculum. They have endured the closure and consolidation of schools. They have endured the expansion of the pre-K-8 model, and they are presently enduring district-wide implementation of TAP. Yet, this reading is proposing the possibility of more changes in the near future when we don't know if the seeds we've already planted will bear any fruit. This reading also has the code words of parent choice and healthy competition of students, which normally equates to the addition of more charter schools to a district. And let's be frank, the track record of charter schools here in Jefferson Parish has not been a good one, with only one performing well. We know that our employees are capable of providing high-quality education to our students, and it's the district's responsibility to provide the tools they need to make that happen. We have seen this type of reconstruction approximately 7 years ago, and the district is still trying to recover from those events. Is this proposal really in the best educational interests of our children, or is it simply a shell game or an attempt to save money on the backs of our students and employees? You adopted a 5-year strategic plan, 2024, but it appears as if this has become a 2019-2020 plan. Any plan brought before this board should be transparent, and all stakeholders should have an opportunity to weigh in before it is presented, voted upon, and implemented. This constant shuffling is not productive for our students, nor does it aid in retaining employees in the district. Even an increase in pay will not keep employees here when they're faced with the anxiety of constant changes and the fear that their school community will no longer exist.
Benjamin Lewis.
Hey, how are y'all doing? I want to say first, thank you, everybody, for voting in that raise. We really appreciate it. And out of this reading, I do want to say I am all for bringing in career and technical education. I grew up in rural Georgia. That was actually the backbone of our school system. And we had a lot of people who are making more money than me who just did the VOTEC program at my local high school. So I get that. I also get the need to analyze our utilization rates, our occupancy rates. Right, Taco Bell, it did breakfast because it knew we're not utilizing that kitchen space. We can make more money. That's why they're doing breakfast. I like that. I enjoy it. But think about what that looks like in a school. You're saying this school has a little less. Hey, we can fit more kids in there. Okay? Well, now all of a sudden, legal cap is 33. You're going to put 33 kids in my room. And we know at the beginning of the year, I actually honestly have maybe 40 because we're shuffling around. My school's old. Some of these older schools, the space is tight. I literally can't fit that many kids. Also, when we think about this, the goal is, hey, let's open up our academies. Goal is choice, right? What is that going to look like? Well, Haynes right now has 26.9 to 1 teacher. That is the highest classroom ratio of any of the schools I looked at until I got to number 56, David Thibodeau, 22 to 1. If you're going to take more kids out of the other schools and put them in the academies, you're getting classroom sizes larger. That's going to hurt their scores. What happens in my room? Well, that kid who I used to use to help me try to explain concepts, maybe brighter kid in the room, let's call him, he's no longer there. So now, all right, I've got to explain it. I've got less talent in the room to help me. Then, when I think about all that class size, right, what actually happens to the programs? Back in Georgia, I remember they said, hey, let's have choice. Let's start letting kids go. My mom was an educator. I can tell you the high school got rid of AP. That's the first thing to go because those kids went to the other schools, the magnet programs. All right, AP classes are gone. Now gifted classes are gone. We don't have those students, okay? Well, okay, what do we have left? We have the VOTEC program, we got regular ed, and we got remedial. That was not the future she wanted. And I'll tell you, she was an educator. She took me out, put me in boarding school. All of a sudden, I have a class size of 6 in boarding school. Me and 5 students and 1 teacher were around a table. I learned so much in 1 semester, I was basically passing out. I came back to public school, and they said, you need to go to college in my senior year, because in 3 years of boarding school and small class sizes, I had learned more than they could offer me. So please think about the class size. Think about the diversity. Please don't take the...
Please conclude.
Jeffrey Barrios.
I think we should have given him a little more time.
Jeff Barwa. So closing schools to save operational costs. That means school consolidation is to save money. Means closing our schools to cut costs. School choice, that means charter schools. We know what that means. This board's really showing its hand right now. Any school board member that wants to go and explicitly look for chances to sell off its schools to expand charter schools is not here to represent its children or its teachers. This motion is a direct attack on those teachers and children. We teachers, the ones that are here, the ones that are in the schools every single day, we know that we're going to fight for these children tooth and nail. I'm in contact with parents, teachers, students even from Orleans Parish. They're telling me horror stories all the time about what the charter schools are like. They don't give special education service. Even the ones that are in this parish have had that same problem. So, this isn't any different. We're fighting the same fight right now. We know exactly what's going on. We know who's calling the shots, and when the report comes back and there's going to be an expansion of charter schools recommended, we know what's going to happen here. We know what's going on. So, teachers are going to fight for our kids, our parents are going to fight for our kids, and the kids are going to fight for themselves. How you vote on this tells us which side of that fight you're on.
Jennifer Reed.
Hi, Jennifer Reed. It is barely October and we are fed up. We are fed up at Riverdale Middle School because our district increases our enrollment every year but doesn't increase our teacher allotment or our building space. We are fed up because of the large number of SPED and 504 students in classes so large that their academic needs cannot be met. We are fed up because we are spending our time as drill sergeants instead of using our time, talent, and intelligence to give children the excellent education that they deserve because of class size. We are fed up and we are spending hours after school regularly to set up and take down labs that accompany new curriculum because we are losing 2 to 3 planning periods every week due to different type of district mandated meetings. We are having to extend the time between classes to facilitate 854 students changing classes all at once. We do not have the room to properly carry out tornado drills because our halls are too full. Is this providing a safe, healthy, and modern school? In addition to being overcrowded, we still have classrooms without air conditioning. It has been 2 months. Imagine sitting in an unair-conditioned room through the middle of summer in southern Louisiana trying to be productive. Now imagine trying to provide assignments aligned with a robust curriculum, catering to different types of learners and fostering a safe, respectful, and caring culture for 30-plus students. Good luck. I'm going to sound like a Dornax commercial for a second. Collapsing ceilings? We got that. Dead animals in the wall? We got that. Black mold on the ceiling tiles? We got that. Flooding hallways? We got that. And your goal is to combine us with Jefferson Elementary? Where? Speaking of 38 kids in a classroom, which really is a treat, we have countless, I say that because our classes change daily, classes with over 33 students, which is the state's limit. Studies have shown that reducing class sizes increase student achievement by an amount equivalent to 3 additional months of school. Long-term positive effects were shown especially with students from less advantaged backgrounds, which 82% of the students in our district are. While I'm sure you know all of this, 32% reduction in class size sounds extreme. How about reducing a class from 44 to 30, which is the plan, I believe? That sounds crazy, but we have a teacher who currently has a class of 44 students. We are bursting at the seams, and we are still enrolling students every day because no one will allow us to stop. Mr. Moise, do you recognize us? We are your school that you committed to ensuring has the resources we need to succeed, but were you aware of these problems? Our kids need more room, our kids need more paras, our kids need more teachers in order for us to provide them the learning that they deserve. We need a cap on our enrollment. Our community needs help, and it is not going to come in the form of K-8 schools, charter schools, or voucher programs. It will come when you invest in and listen to us. It is barely October, and we are fed up.
Please conclude.
All right, thank you. That is the end of public comment. Mr. Moise, you are on the board.
Well, I appreciate and am really inspired by your passion and your cohesion, but I have to admit that I really don't understand, and I am disappointed at the fact that this reading has been out for a month and not a single one of you has come to talk to any of the board members, much less the person that authored this reading. Many of you have drawn conclusions that are inconsistent with the reading. I don't know where those conclusions have come from, but they're certainly not consistent with what's in the reading, and they're unwarranted. We're simply tasking the administration to provide this board with some very specific information and with a plan only. You have 5 months to weigh in and help develop that plan if you so choose. But the stir that's going on right now by making assumptions without having a dialogue with this board is not fruitful. So as educators and educated people, I encourage you to hold your judgment until you educate yourselves on...
Excuse me.
You know nothing, sir. Yeah,
Jeffrey, we're going to respect each other. We respected you when you spoke. I'm going to ask you to leave if you keep it up. Please do not scream out, okay? We're going to have an organized respectful board meeting.
So again, I ask you, as educators and educated, to educate yourself on the underlying issues that are involved with a very, very difficult facilities plan. I understand the issues that you have at these schools. That's why I've introduced this reading. We have to drive the efficiencies out of this facilities system so that we can apply the resources that we would otherwise apply to schools that are closed and we're maintaining, so that we can reinvest it in other schools. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. North.
No, we can't do this. We can't do this.
Ma'am, I'm sorry.
We can't do this.
I'm sorry.
We can't.
We will. I think we've all been in schools. All right, thank you. Thank you. Please, go ahead. The immaturity is ridiculous. Okay? When you put in a card and speak, if you can't operate within the limits of the parameters of what we have, okay? It is inappropriate. That is correct. So please sit down, Kessler.
Thank you, Mr. Dale.
All right, Mr. North.
All right, there's only one thing that's been said by the folks that have come up that I disagree with, and that's the comment about school choice being a code word. Being an educator, I understand when those words are spoken, which some of us thinks it mean. But I'm going to tell you, I assure you, that from my point of view, school choice in this reading does not mean that. Now, if you know me, you can believe me. If you don't want to believe it, well, God bless you. That's okay. But ma'am, everything you said, I agree with that. Now, this reading, though, what, from my point of view, will do, it will allow us to look at the problems, okay? We can come back with great transparency and discuss it in a public civil forum. And I believe this board wants that to happen. As a teacher who's been in this system for 30 years, everything each and every one of you have said, I've seen it, y'all. This reading that Mr. Moyes has put together should have been done 2 decades ago, but it wasn't. But he has the courage and the foresight and the support. Let us know what's happening. All we want the superintendent to do is to give us facts. And from there, I promise, and we promise, we're going to give you the facts, and we will bring, all right, this board to every school if we have to. And if you want to include yourself in a civil discourse, I invite you to please come along. Okay? I put 30 years into this district. It means a lot to me. You guys work very hard, and I know you work hard. We just want the facts so we can make decisions with your help. That's all this is. And you can read in it if you want to read into it. But I assure you, this is not some charter plan to come in and take over. It's not. It's not. Let's work together. Let's be civil, and let's come together for our children and the future of our parish. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable for adults. We cannot increase education and student learning unless adults are uncomfortable. So let's work together, please. And we will. And I assure you, everything being said up here is the truth. Let's trust each other. Thank you, Mr. Dale.
Thank you, Mr. North. Mr. Johnson.
Yes, thank you for your time. I enjoyed all the speakers. The gentleman that spoke, I wanted to give you 3 more minutes, but you were set down by the time I said that. I like what you said. We paid the HERE group $1 million to tell us what we should do, and before we could do that, we changed some things. I want to say things are uncomfortable right now. Administrators are getting home a lot later than years before. Teachers are asked to do much more than they were done before. And if we're not talking about school choice, which you know that I'm not for, if we're not talking about school choice or charter schools, and you know that word offends people, and we have some people, the people out there, it offends them. And we have the possibility to change the wording so that we don't be caught up in the fact of having to do what we say having to be able to do what we say we would like to do. Why don't we change the wording? Because that is the one thing that offends these people more than anything, because you're giving the kids away to other people. And we already had a $16 million hiccup earlier this year. So it seems to me that we ought to think about what we're saying when we say choice. If we don't mean choice, like they think we mean choice, why don't we use another word that doesn't offend them if we want to try to work it out with them? Because if we say it, then they're offended. If we don't want to do that, then don't say it. So think about what you're saying to the people so that they can feel a little bit at ease of what you're trying to do. I understand we're trying to get a plan and trying to get it going, but at the same time, you say some choice words here that offend all these educators, and they are educators. They've gone to school and they've got their degrees, so don't offend them by saying get educated. They're already educated. But they understand when people are trying to slide something in on them, but they're on the top of their game. That's why they're here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Morgan.
I'll echo the comments of some of my fellow board members that I don't get it. I don't know where this is coming from. I was copied on some stuff in one of the campaigns that's going on where this kind of rhetoric is bubbling up because of the Bessie election. But I sat here for 8 meetings, and everything that happened was good for kids. What happened tonight wasn't good for kids. A division between you guys and the board and the administration doesn't help anybody. That type of behavior is negative for everybody too. You don't want kids talking out in your classroom, you don't want kids disrespecting you and your teachers, don't do it here. We lead by example. And that's what we've been doing for the past 8 months. That ended tonight. I want to get back to it. We got 5 new board members up here who were not around when the Hill Group did their work. You guys were. You participated in it. What's being presented tonight is not fundamentally different than anything that the Hill Group did. I view this as their incorporation of their new leadership roles on this board with the work that was started with the Hill Group. I understand that I'm a little surprised by the concerns that you guys have. It's obvious that you can get fired up very quickly over things. And Kessler, we spoke very briefly before the meeting today, and I tried to convey that message to you. I don't think this is fundamentally different. This is a breakdown in communication over something that came up from a new board member. I don't think it's something we can't easily overcome. I'll give you one example. One of the things that was said tonight was we're going to, flood the magnet schools. That's for 15 years. The enrollment of the magnet schools has been stable. It's never increased past the original limits that were set back in 2006. So that's something that someone is concerned that's going to happen, but this board, myself included, have adamantly protected against because we understand those issues that were brought up tonight. We're not going to overexpand the magnet schools to the detriment of the other classrooms. That's something that I've said from this dais dozens of times. So I would hope that we could take a deep breath, look at what we've actually been doing, look at what the track record is. Don't get drawn into hysteria over people using code words. What have we done with charter schools? Where were you guys 6 months ago when a charter school, we closed it and they came back in here and yelled at us because we wouldn't give them another chance? This is not a pro-charter school district. No one can say that with a straight face because we don't have that record. We don't have the plans to do that. None of us were elected on that basis. So take a deep breath. Let's reestablish the trust. Let's not have meetings where we're yelling like we did, for the first 14 years I was on this school board. Let's get back to working together. I want this to be nipped in the bud. I don't want it to happen again. Let's reopen the communication. This is not what it was painted to be tonight. I've got faith in these new guys that they're going to do the right thing. I just would hope that you give them a chance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. I had concern about the word school choice, not for the reason that some people have said, because I didn't think charter at all, because I really think that we have a problem with our budget because we opened some schools that were not needed, and we opened charters that were not performing. So I didn't think charter. What I thought when I heard school choice was that we had to make sure that we had safeguards so that we didn't separate people according to ethnicity or race. That was my concern, that some people in the past have used that. I believe that parents should be able to send their children to a school that performs. That's what school choice means to me. I get calls from parents saying, why can't I send my child over there? Their extended family is close to that school. It's a lot easier. I work, my husband works. Why can't I send my child there? And I have to say, because they're not in the district. We don't have school choice. But choice to me only meant that we had to put safeguards so that people didn't use them for what some people used them for in the past, and that was to separate us. As far as charter is concerned, that did not cross my mind, because I asked the superintendent to please come up with a way that we could grade charters so that if they are not performing for our children in this district, then we didn't have to renew their charters. So to sit here and to listen to the hysteria over something that this board is not the same board that you've seen in the past. This is a very transparent, very honest, very caring, and very approachable board. So I hope we can, as Mr. Morgan said, get back to respecting each other and talking to each other, communicating. If we do that, we'll get a lot further, and we'll show our children that that's the way we handle our problems. Thank you. Seeing no one else on the board, we will go ahead and vote. Vote electronically. Frank, how we coming?
Can we have a voice vote?
Yes, we'll go ahead and do it.
No, I think we need to have a
Okay,
voice
we'll go ahead and do a voice vote. We'll do a roll call vote.
Ms. Kuhn?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Moise?
Yes.
Mr. Nugent?
Yes.
Ms. Donopoulos Bosorge?
Yes.
Mr. Morgan?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Nay.
Mr. Dale?
Yes.
Mr. Dickerson?
Nay.
7-2 vote.
All right, thank you very much. Passes 7-2. We will now move to the consent agenda. Any items pulled from the consent agenda, Ms. Kerner? None pulled. Mr. Fanning, would you please read the consent agenda?
6.3, acceptance Washington Montessori Project Number 2018-16B. 6.4, acceptance Thibodeau Elementary School Project Number 2018-07. 6.5, acceptance Hazel Park Elementary School Project Number 2018-17B. 6.16, acceptance Charbonnet Elementary School Project Number 2018-55B. 6.7, acceptance George Cox Elementary School Project Number 2018-09. 6.8, acceptance Alexander Elementary School Project Number 2018-53. 6.9, acceptance Janae Elementary School Project Number 2018-28A. 6.10, acceptance Green Park Elementary School Project Number 2018-27. 6.11, LDOE Empower Schools Contract 2019-2020. 6.12, Sylvan Learning 2019-2020 Contract Renewal. 6.13, Young Audiences of Louisiana 2019-2020 Contract Renewal. 6.14, renewal of Rochelle Gautier's contract as the Community Project Manager for the JPS SAMHSA Project Aware Grant. 6.15, approval of the endorsement request to participate in the Industrial Tax Exemption Program, ITEP. 6.16, JPSB 2020 Board Meeting Dates. 6.17, Jefferson Parish Schools Procedures and Policies for Parents and Students, 2019 to 2021. 6.18, case number LM 23-10101. 6.19, case number TJ 39-10101. 6.20, case number LM 17-10102. Those are all expulsion review hearings. Expulsion reviews.
You moved by Mr. Morgan, second by the chair. Any public comment?
Kessler Camise Jones for 6:15.
Good evening. I've posed this question to the board before at previous meetings and just wanted to know how many of these do we anticipate approving in the near future? It just seems a little counterproductive that as we're looking for ways to adequately fund education and to also give resources to our employees and to students, that we're actually giving away exemptions to some of these larger corporations. So
We don't normally.
Okay, I want that.
Thank you.
Okay.
During board time, you can.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You can go ahead now. Sorry about that. You are now.
Thank you, Ms. Kuhn. Ms. Camise, I was going to comment about that. Thank you for bringing that up. The last time, and you're talking about 615, correct? The ITEP. The last time that JEDCO came with this, I thought that we could have been given some more information. Talk to them, and I think, and I really wanted to thank them for what they gave us tonight. I think it was very clear. It was very specific on the jobs that were brought in by this company. I think it was a $5 million a year in salaries paid to 120, 150 people, something like that. And the amount of a tax break that we were giving them, I thought was very fair. And if we could keep that company in our community, then I thought it was certainly something that we should approve. And I know you're concerned because I think we had shared that, and JEDCO has been very good about giving us what we need, and I wanted to thank them publicly for giving us the information we need to make a fair assessment on how to approve or not approve the ITEP agenda items. But thank you for bringing that up, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Dale.
Thank you, Mr. North. Anything further? We will go ahead and vote on the consent agenda. Try this again. Okay, it passes 9-0. Thank you. We'll move to committee reports. I understand we have one report, and that is from the Insurance Committee. Mr. Nugent, please press your button. and I will recognize you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Dale. We did have a meeting. We have one item I'll bring up as a motion and one item that we discussed as an insurance committee. Our insurance consultant, Sigma Insurance Consultants, they've reviewed all of the flood policies that are coming due on October the 13th, the 15th, and the 24th, where we'll be insuring 385 buildings for a total premium of $949,342 with Wright National Flood Insurance Company, underwritten by Martin Insurance. And that is the motion to approve. So I'm bringing that.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Can you read it again, please?
Sure. That we approve the insurance policies underwritten by Wright National Flood Insurance Company, or written through, the number of buildings, 385 buildings, for a total premium of $949,342. The agent is Martin Insurance Company, and the policies renew on October the 13th, the 15th, and the 24th.
Okay, I'm going to ask that we get a 24-hour waiver to approve this because it's on the, we need to do this, right?
Yes, I think voting on it without having an agenda, that's the only way it can be voted on
Right,
at this time.
right. I did not know that we were bringing something to a vote.
Okay.
So I'm requesting a 24-hour waiver to be able to approve the flood policy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Bosage. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, we can move forward with the vote to approve the flood policy now. We're going to do a roll call vote. Ms. Kerner?
Mr. Morgan?
Yes.
Mr. Annapolis-Bozorge?
Yes.
Ms. Kuhn?
Yes.
Mr. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Moise?
Yes.
Mr. Dale?
Yes.
Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
9-0, motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much. That is the end of committee reports.
I have one other item.
Okay, go ahead.
The second item that our consultant brought to our attention or recommended was that we consider going through the process of having a producer of record for all lines of our insurance. And after hearing their explanation and the time-sensitive nature to have this take effect, the committee gave the approval for that recommendation.
Okay. So he is going to investigate doing
Yes,
this, and
he's
then
gonna start
you'll bring it before the board? Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Nugent. Now we'll move to citizens who signed up prior to the school board meeting for non-agenda items. Do you have something? Okay, thank you. Okay. Ms. Kuhn.
Rosalind Spencer.
She left.
I didn't realize she left. Carla Bernard.
My daughter goes to John Ehret High School. She's a senior this year. I graduated from John Ehret, so has a lot of my family members. It's close to my heart. I've been checking her out lately because of the fights and the violence, which scares her. Of course, we've been military for 25 years. Moved back here 3 years ago, and they went to Ehret. It just breaks my heart that they can't get the school back together again. Maybe there's too many kids. I don't know. You call the school, you don't get an answer. And there's so many good teachers there, so many good kids there. And I think that they're forgetting about John Ehret. And it's the biggest school, and it just breaks my heart. And I just hope that the school board takes a look at it and cares about these kids. My daughter's in IBO program, and she wanted to go to Ehret, and she's there, And it is her last year, but I don't want to see the next generation have to go through this. And it's just, it gets embarrassing when I have to say, oh, she goes to John Ehret. I don't want to say that. I want her, and I want the next kids to enjoy going to school there. I hope that they can get a hold of all this, the discipline there. I mean, my Abby tells me, Mom, some of the kids in my class don't have a school desk to sit in. I mean, why can't we get desks for all these children? It's a desk, for God's sake. I don't think I ever went to school and not had it sit and not able to sit in a desk. I just hope y'all don't forget about the average kids, the kids who can't go to the magnet schools. You know, it just breaks my heart. And as a parent, you know, I don't know what I can do to say more, or what can I do? I mean, I go to the meetings, I go to the school when they have different things. I go, and I'm involved in my kids' education, and I don't want her to be scared to go to school, and I don't want the next generation to have to be scared. So, thank you.
Lee Price Barrios.
Good evening, Dr. Brumley, school board, staff, and most importantly, the teachers and the parents who drive education and are the benefactors of public education who are in the audience. My name is Lee Price Barrios, and I'm a candidate for Bessie District 1. I'd like to speak specifically about teaching and learning in the classroom, which is what we're really here all about. Learning is the product of a curious mind. It's a responsibility of teachers, parents, and really everything and everybody out there in the world to stimulate that curiosity. Children need to be encouraged to ask questions, find answers, and if they don't like the answer or there is none, to create solutions. That's how we got to the moon. There's nothing about the standardization regime that Bessie offers now that stimulates or promotes learning. Reform has been portrayed as a competition with the premise that it will separate the wheat from the chaff, that it will force all students, including the most in need of special services or attention, to rise to unrealistic and often developmentally inappropriate levels, and using the very poorly written Tier 1 curriculums shoved down the throats of our districts out and taken local control away from us. When children perceive impending failure, they shut down for fear of failure. Competition creates winners and losers. Neither our children, nor our teachers, nor our schools need to be portrayed as losers academically based on a single test score. It's my hope to be elected to Bessie to add some education.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to stop you. We cannot have political speeches
All the
here.
school districts do have their candidates
We're not
come
going
up.
to do that. We are not going to do that.
I'll
I see
continue
my
without saying.
parliamentarian, you're done. Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Anything further? No one further? All right, seeing nothing further, do we have a, Dr. Brumley, would you like to comment?
She signed up.
Oh, she's back? Okay.
Good evening. I can't apologize for my words, and let me explain. For the last 2 weeks, I have been dealing with trauma with students, and I have come up here. I have already lost one to self-harm. I lost another one before the beginning of school to self-harm. I held a student today with cuts on their arms. I held another student where another student at the local high school close to us swallowed over 30 pills and had a seizure. You'll see it soon. And I have helped another student with trauma and had to do reports. I want to thank Jefferson Parish for putting the online training. And I know that everyone says we get so passionate and quick. Let me explain. We work 12+ hours to make sure that we support